Parashat Tazria, Leviticus 12:1 through 13:59. First Aliyah. God spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelite people thus: when a woman at childbirth bears a male, she shall be impure 7 days. She shall be impure as at the time of her condition of menstrual separation. On the 8th day, the flesh of the foreskin shall be circumcised. She shall remain in a state of blood purification for 33 days. She shall not touch any consecrated thing, nor enter the sanctuary until her period of purification is completed. If she bears a female, she shall be impure 2 weeks, as during her menstruation, and she shall remain in a state of blood purification for 66 days. On the completion of her period of purification, for either son or daughter, she shall bring to the priest at the entrance of the tent of meeting a lamb in its first year for a burnt offering, and a pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering. He shall offer it before God and make expiation on her behalf. She shall then be pure from her flow of blood. Such are the rituals concerning her who bears a child, male or female. If, however, her means do not suffice for a sheep, she shall take 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, one for a burnt offering and the other one for a sin offering. The priest shall make expiation on her behalf, and she shall be pure. God spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, when a person has on the skin of the body a swelling, a rash, or a discoloration, and it develops into a scaly affection on the skin of the body, it shall be reported to Aaron the priest or to one of his sons, the priests. The priest shall examine the affection on the skin of the body. If hair in the affected patch has turned white, and the affection appears to be deeper than the skin of the body, it is a leprous affection. When the priest sees it, he shall pronounce the person impure. But if it is a white discoloration on the skin of the body, which does not appear to be deeper than the skin, and the hair in it has not turned white, the priest shall isolate the affected person for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall conduct an examination, and if the affection has remained unchanged in color and the disease has not spread on the skin, the priest shall isolate that person for another 7 days.
Second Aliyah. On the 7th day, the priest shall again conduct an examination. If the affection has faded and has not spread on the skin, the priest shall pronounce the person pure. It is a rash. After washing these clothes, that person shall be pure. But if the rash should spread on the skin after the person has been seen by the priest and pronounced pure, that person shall again report to the priest. And if the priest sees that the rash has spread on the skin, the priest shall pronounce that person impure. It is leprosy. When a person has a scaly affection, it shall be reported to the priest. If the priest finds on the skin a white swelling, which has turned some hair white, with a patch of undiscolored flesh on the swelling, it is chronic leprosy on the skin of the body, and the priest shall pronounce the person impure. Being impure, that person need not be isolated. If the eruption spreads out over the skin so that it covers all the skin of the affected person from head to foot, wherever the priest can see, if the priest sees that the eruption has covered the whole body, he shall pronounce as pure the affected person who is pure from having turned all white. But as soon as undiscolored flesh appears in it, that person shall be impure. When the priest sees the undiscolored flesh, he shall pronounce the person impure. The undiscolored flesh is impure. It is leprosy. But if the undiscolored flesh again turns white, that person shall come to the priest, and the priest shall conduct an examination. If the affection has turned white, the priest shall pronounce as pure the affected person, who is then pure.
Third Aliyah. When an inflammation appears on the skin of one's body and it heals, and a white swelling or a white discoloration streaked with red develops where the inflammation was, that person shall report to the priest. If the priest finds that it appears lower than the rest of the skin and that the hair in it has turned white, the priest shall pronounce the person impure. It is a leprous affection that has broken out in the inflammation. But if the priest finds that there is no white hair in it, and it is not lower than the rest of the skin, and it is faded, the priest shall isolate that person for 7 days. If it should spread in the skin, the priest shall pronounce the person impure. It is an affection. But if the discoloration remains stationary, not having spread, it is the scar of the inflammation. The priest shall pronounce that person pure.
Fourth Aliyah. When the skin of one's body sustains a burn by fire, and the patch from the burn is a discoloration, either white streaked with red or white, the priest shall examine it. If some hair is turned white in the discoloration, which itself appears to go deeper than the skin, it is leprosy that is broken out in the burn. The priest shall pronounce the person impure. It is a leprous affection. But if the priest finds that there is no white hair in the discoloration, and that is not lower than the rest of the skin, and it is faded, the priest shall isolate that person for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall conduct an examination. If it is spread in the skin, the priest shall pronounce the person impure. It is a leprous affection. But if the discoloration has remained stationary, not having spread on the skin, and it is faded, it is the swelling from the burn. The priest shall pronounce that person pure, for it is the scar of the burn.
Fifth Aliyah. If a man or woman has an affection on the head or in the beard, the priest shall examine the affection. If it appears to go deeper than the skin and there is thin yellow hair in it, the priest shall pronounce the person impure. It is a scaly eruption on the hair or beard. But if the priest finds that the scale affection does not appear to go deeper than the skin, yet there is no black hair in it, the priest shall isolate the person with the scale affection for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall examine the affection. If the scale has not spread and no yellow hair has appeared in it, and the scale does not appear to go deeper than the skin, the person with the scale shall have, but without shaving the scale, the priest shall isolate that person for another 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall examine the scale. If the scale has not spread on the skin and does not appear to go deeper than the skin, the priest shall pronounce the person pure. After washing those clothes, that person shall be pure. If, however, the scale should spread on the skin after the person has been pronounced pure, the priest shall conduct an examination. If the scale has spread on the skin, the priest need not look for yellow hair. The person is impure. But if the scale has remained unchanged in color and black hair has grown in it, the scale is healed. The person is pure. The priest shall pronounce that person pure. If a man or woman has the skin of the body streaked with white discolorations, and the priest sees that the discolorations on the skin of the body are of a dull white, it is a teeter broken out of the skin. That person is pure.
6 Aliyah. If a man loses the hair of his head and becomes bald, he is pure. If he loses the hair on the front part of his head and he becomes bald at the forehead, he is pure. But if a white affection streaked with red appears on the bald part in the front or at the back of the head, it is a scaly eruption that is spreading over the bald part in the front or at the back of the head. The priest shall examine him. If the swollen affection on the bald part in the front or at the back of his head is white streaked with red, like the leprosy of body skin in appearance, he is a leprous man. He is impure. The priest shall pronounce him impure. he has the affection on his head. As for the person with a leprous affection, the clothes shall be rent, the head shall be left bare, and the upper lip shall be covered over, and that person shall call out, impure, impure. The person shall be impure as long as the disease is present. Being impure, that person shall dwell apart in a dwelling outside the camp. When an eruptive affection occurs in a cloth of wool or linen fabric, in the warp or in the woof of the linen or the wool, or in a skin or in anything made of skin, if the affection in the cloth or the skin, in the warp or the woof, or in any article of skin is streaky, green, or red, it is an eruptive affection. It shall be shown to the priest. And the priest, after examining the affection, shall isolate the affected article for 7 days. On the 7th day, he shall examine the affection. If the affection has spread in the cloth, whether in the warp or the woof, or in the skin, or whatever purpose the skin may be used, the affection is a malignant eruption. It is impure. The cloth, whether warp or woof in wool or linen, or any article of skin in which the affection is found, shall be burned, for it is a malignant eruption. It shall be consumed in fire. But if the priest sees that the affection in the cloth, whether in warp or in woof, or in any article of skin has not spread, the priest shall order the affected article washed, and he shall isolate it for another 7 days.
7th Aliyah. And if, after the affected article has been washed, the priest sees that the affection has not changed color and that it is not spread, it is impure. It shall be consumed in fire. It is a fret, whether on its inner side or on its outer side. But if the priest sees that the affected part, after it has been washed, is faded, he shall tear it out from the cloth or skin, whether in the warp or in the woof. And if it occurs again in the cloth, whether in warp or in woof, or in any article of skin, it is a wild growth. The affected article shall be consumed in fire. If, however, the affection disappears from the cloth, warp or woof, or from any article of skin that has been washed, it shall be washed again, and it shall be pure. Such is the procedure for eruptive affections of cloth, woolen, or linen, in warp or in woof, or of any article of skin, for pronouncing it pure or impure.